You know, that feeling, right? The one where the day just doesn't feel complete, maybe?
Yeah.
Unless you've ticked off a bunch of boxes, sent loads of emails, basically felt like you've produced something.
Oh, definitely. It's like this background hum of needing to achieve. So
It
common.
really is. It's like this constant unspoken pressure to be doing, achieving, always moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. How can you actually have a happy day without that, relentless focus on accomplishment?
It feels almost counterintuitive, doesn't it, in our culture?
Totally. It almost feels rebellious, like we should always be striving, hitting targets. But our mission here in this deep dive is to unpack why we feel this pressure. And more importantly, to explore some real, actionable ways for you to find joy in the present, regardless of whether you've achieved something big that day.
And I'm happy to be here to explore that. It's such a crucial topic for well-being today. This constant drive,
Yeah.
it can really take a toll.
So let's get right into it. Where does this really deep feeling come from? This ingrained idea that our happiness, maybe even our worth, is tied to what we accomplish.
Well, it's so deeply embedded in our cultural conditioning, it's almost invisible. Think about it from a very young age. The messages we get subtly, and sometimes, well, not so subtly.
Yeah, definitely not subtle sometimes.
Right. They link our worth to performance. Grades in school, winning that race, getting into a good college. It sets up this idea that our value is conditional.
That makes so much sense. I definitely remember feeling like a bad grade wasn't just about the subject. It felt like I wasn't good enough.
Precisely. And it doesn't stop after school, does it? The media, and especially social media, plays a huge role. We're constantly seeing these highlight reels of everyone else's successes.
Oh, the comparison trap.
Exactly. Psychologists call it the social comparison effect. You're measuring your own life, often your messy reality, against these polished snapshots. It just reinforces the idea achievement equals a good life.
And deep down, there's this sort of underlying belief that happiness is the reward you get after you do the hard work.
Yes, that's a huge part of it. Happiness isn't now, it's later. After you reach the goal, it becomes this thing you have to earn.
Okay, so let's unpack that. What happens to you, the listener, when happiness gets so tangled up with these external achievements? What are the real downsides?
Well, the biggest issue is that it creates a very fragile happiness.
Yeah.
It's conditional, dependent on things often outside your control. You might not hit the target, or maybe you do.
And it feels a bit flat, like, is this it?
Exactly, that anticlimax. You expect profound joy, and it's fleeting. Or just, okay. Plus, this whole mindset fuels so much stress and anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
The constant pressure, the fear of failing, worrying about expectations. It's exhausting. It can lead straight to burnout. You're always evaluating, always comparing.
And while you're doing all that striving and worrying, you're probably missing.
Well, life, right. The stuff happening now. Absolutely. You become so focused on the future, on getting there, that you just don't notice the present. The simple things, really tasting your coffee, a laugh with a friend, a quiet moment, they get bulldozed by the to-do list.
You're so busy trying to get somewhere else, you forget to experience where you are.
Perfectly put. It's exhausting, like you said.
And what about self-worth? What happens to your sense of self when you inevitably face setbacks or even just need to rest? Because we all do.
That's critical. If your worth is tied up in accomplishments, then failure or even just taking a break can feel devastating. You might think, I'm lazy, I'm not good enough.
That sounds really damaging.
It really chips away at your core sense of value. But the flip side is, when you intentionally start to decouple happiness from achievement, that's where the magic happens. You cultivate a deeper, more stable internal joy. You realize your worth is just inherent. It exists whether you ticked off one thing or 10 things today.
That sounds liberating, truly.
It really is.
So, for someone listening, maybe nodding along right now, feeling trapped in this cycle, what are some practical things you can actually start doing? How do we have a happy day without that constant achievement pressure?
Okay, let's get practical. One powerful starting point is to set an intention for being. Instead of the first thought being, what do I need to do? Try asking, how do I want to feel today? Maybe it's present or notice small pleasures.
I like that. Shifting focus from doing to being. Simple, but profound. What else?
Another key one for you is mindfulness. It sounds maybe a bit complex, but it's really just paying attention on purpose to this moment without judging it.
So like really tasting the coffee, not just gulping it down while checking emails.
Exactly. Feel the mug's warmth, notice the smell, or when you're walking, feel your feet on the ground, hear the sounds. Feel the air. It anchors you in the now, pulling you away from future worries or past regrets.
Tuning into the small moments we usually just rush past.
Precisely. And here's one that might feel a bit radical for you at first. Schedule aimless enjoyment.
Aimless, like no goal.
No goal at all, just pure joy. Put on music and just listen. Doodle without trying to create a masterpiece. Read a novel for fun. Play with your pet. Watch clouds.
That feels almost forbidden, like wasting time.
I know it can feel that way, but reframe it. It's not wasted time. It's an investment in your well-being. It recharges you in a way productivity can't. It's a healthy rebellion against that pressure.
A healthy rebellion. I like that.
Yeah.
What else is in the toolkit?
Connect with nature, even small doses. Look out the window at a tree for 5 minutes. Walk in a park on your lunch break. Tend a houseplant. Nature has this amazing grounding effect. It pulls us out of that achievement headspace.
Yeah, I definitely feel calmer after even just a few minutes outside. It works.
It really does for so many people. And then there's simple gratitude. Consciously shift your focus from what's missing or what you haven't done to small things you appreciate right now.
Like my comfy chair.
Yeah.
Or the fact that the sun is out.
Exactly. Your bed, your health, a kind word someone said. It sounds small, but acknowledging these positives can genuinely reframe your whole perspective. It combats that feeling of lack.
It's amazing how powerful that simple shift can be.
It really is. And finally, maybe the most crucial one for you, especially when breaking this pattern, cultivate self-compassion.
Being kind to yourself, basically.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially when that guilt pops up. When you catch yourself feeling bad for not being productive, consciously be kind. Remind yourself, rest is okay. I deserve to enjoy this moment. My worth isn't tied to my output. Start small with all of these, maybe just one practice for a few minutes a day.
These are great, really practical tips. But like we mentioned, that internal resistance, the guilt, that inner critic voice, it can be really loud. How do you deal with that when it shows up?
Yes, the inner critic, it's almost universal. First step for now, just acknowledge the guilt. Don't fight it, don't judge it, just notice it. There's that feeling again. Recognize it's just conditioning.
Okay, so don't beat myself up for feeling guilty about resting.
Exactly. Then gently remind yourself why you're choosing this moment of non-doing. I need this rest for my well-being. And then you can try talking to your inner critic.
Talking to it, like
Right.
have a conversation in my head.
Sort of. Treat it like maybe an anxious friend who means well but is a bit overbearing. You could say internally, thanks for the concern about productivity, but right now recharging is what's needed. Or, my value isn't just my to-do list. Some people even give their critic a funny name.
Huh? Like, okay, Nigel, pipe down.
Exactly. It diffuses the power, makes it less intimidating. And the final piece is crucial. Start small and be patient. If a whole day feels too much, start with 15 minutes of aimless enjoyment. Build that muscle for guilt-free presence slowly.
Build the muscle. That makes sense. It's a practice.
It's absolutely a practice, not a performance. Be kind to yourself through the process. Some days the guilt will be stronger. That's okay. Just gently guide yourself back.
That's really encouraging. Thank you.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the single most important thing you want listeners to take away?
The absolute core message I hope you hold on to is this. Your worth isn't earned by doing. Your existence, just being here, is inherently valuable.
That's powerful.
And true, deep happiness. It's often found not in the huge achievements we chase, but in the simple, everyday moments we tend to overlook. Give yourself permission to find those moments, to savor them unconditionally. Happiness isn't just the destination, it's woven into the journey right now. There's joy available in every step.
Beautifully put. Thank you so much for sharing all this wisdom with us today. It's given me, and I hope everyone listening, a lot to think about.
My absolute pleasure. I genuinely wish everyone listening many moments of happiness, free from that unnecessary burden of constant achievement.
And on that note, we encourage you, our listener, maybe just take a moment now to consider, what's one small act of just being not doing that you can intentionally bring into your day today, purely for the joy of it? We hope this deep dive has sparked some valuable thoughts for you.